Hello everyone, it's your boy Hillman here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a fifth year medical student in Maastricht University in the Netherlands. I'm also a diaspora student coach and a content creator. Welcome to my channel. Look around, have a look around. If you see anything which you like, if you like what I post, like what I do, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the uploads that are coming up. But this is going to be an interesting video, guys, because if you know my channel, if you look around, you see I post mostly videos about like self-help, how I overcame some struggles which I faced in the past, post vlogs about traveling, and post medical school stuff. For now, that's what my channel is about, more or less. And I've been getting a lot of questions from people, from quite a few people actually, who are just wondering or who are curious as to how I combine medical school, how I travel that much, and how I get to also read a lot of books, because I read a lot of books and I actually have a few of them waiting here to be reviewed. So there's going to be videos coming up about this as well. Be sure to check those out. They're going to be cool because I have some really cool books here. And also ones which I've read but are not here and I'm going to be talking about in the videos. But I get a lot of questions from people. How do I combine these things? How do I make medical school work and travel a lot and stuff like that? So I'm going to try to break this down because, to be honest, I don't know if I have a specific answer as to how I make it work, because you just take everything one day at a time. But I'm going to try to, with you on camera, break this thing down and try to see if we can figure out how I make it work, right? So if this video seems a little bit unstructured, it's because I'm flowing. I'm just trying to, I feel like I'm connecting with you guys here. So let's try to figure out how I do this, see if I can help myself understand how I do this as well. But I guess maybe let me start by telling a few stories. Let's see if I can make up not make up two stories, but figure out two stories which can really help give more perspective as to what we're talking about. So one story is, a few months ago, I made a last video. For those of you who watch my videos religiously, you would know what I'm talking about. But I was part of an organizing committee, or part of the marketing part of that committee, of Afro City, the party in Maastricht, the first edition, which was just an Afrobeat party, 100% Afrobeat. And I've been an advocate. I've lived in Maastricht for the past 5 years, and I've been a huge advocate of more diversity in the clubs, because I noticed the clubs were very one-sided with regards to the music, techno everywhere and stuff like that, and I just vibe with that. So let's try to bring more diversity into the music, because the population of Maastricht is getting more diverse, but I feel like the nightclubs are not serving that purpose accordingly. So I reached out to some DJs. Hey, can you guys make something happen? And surprisingly, they gave ear to what I was saying. So they reached out to me. We're going to organize a party. We need your help with the marketing, because I have the network and stuff like that. So I said, okay, fine, let's organize this party. We organized the party like 2 months ahead. We started planning, we started marketing. But then I never had my roster for my next placement, my next clinical rotation, which I was going to do. So we planned the party, and I said in marketing, I was going to be there because it was the first edition. I was not going to miss the first edition because I wanted to be part of that legacy, which was going to be created, if you know what I mean. So we planned the party in, and I realized that along the way, around 3 weeks before the party, I had an exam the day before that party, right? The night before. So I had an exam the day after. The party was on a Thursday night. I had an exam on Friday morning. Now, what was I going to do? Either not attend the party and just study for my exam and have a cool mind and all that good stuff and go to the exam and take the exam, or accept the challenge as I normally do and study way ahead of time for the exam, which you don't necessarily need to study that much for, so that you can go into the party with a restful mind and go to the exam in the morning, because I don't need that much sleep, so that really helped me out in this case, because the party finished at 2 and the exam was at 9, in which case you will still get enough hours of sleep. But I accepted the challenge to study way ahead of time and then go to the party and then go take my exam in the morning. So that worked. My classmates were wondering why I was studying so much for an exam, which you don't have to study that much. But I had my own vision in mind. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I was going for. And for me to be able to have peace of mind while partying, I had to be able to study way out of time, so I know I'm prepared and there's nothing more I could have done. There's always more I can do, but in my mind I will be at least at peace that I did the most I could do to prepare for that exam. And that worked out, and I aced that exam. That's the exam I've left the hall with the most amount of assurance, and also passed the exam accordingly. So I was like, okay, that actually worked out well. That actually was like, that was great. That was lit. So that's one story. That was like something which you just goes to show you how sometimes you just have to know what you're going after and prepare accordingly. I also had times when I've been on road trips. I always plan trips, like weekend trips to friends and stuff like that. And I make sure that the whole week I go to bed at like 1 a.m., wake up at like 6:30. I need like 6 hours of sleep-ish to be able to function during the day, and I can take short naps and I'm okay for the rest of the day. So my sleep, I'm really blessed when it comes to sleep. So that really helps me as well. So I can work extensive hours into the night and then not really suffer the next day. So for example, if I'm gonna go on a trip that weekend and have assignments to be done, I make sure that I sacrifice sleep during the week to do my assignments, and then I can go on the trips in the weekend and not have to worry about doing assignments while in Paris, doing assignments while in Milan and stuff like that. So that goes to, I guess, just bring us to the first point of how I think I make this happen, is that I plan accordingly. I have a vision and I take the necessary steps to get there. So if you know, as a person, you get energy from doing something, because I think in medical school, one thing I've learned is you as a person, you are a person before you study medicine. So medicine is not, it should not become who you are. Medicine is just one thing you do. And you as a person have a lot of things you could do, and a lot of talents you could explore, and a lot of gifts which you've been given, which you need to explore, right? And if you just get into medical school and you focus everything on medicine, I feel personally like that's narrowing. It's okay if you do that, if that's what rocks your boat. If your gift is medicine, which I guess in theory it could be, do that. But I noticed along the way, also along the way of doing medical school, I noticed I have more of a need, and I've identified this need as well in other people to discover more of themselves. Because there's this normal predisposition or this normal assumption that when you get into medical school, everything else has to like fall apart, because medical school is so tough, medical school is so intense, it's so dramatic, for lack of a better word. And in no means am I trying to downplay how difficult medical school is. But I think especially in Maastricht University, we're blessed by the fact that the university also really encourages extracurricular activities. They encourage students to become better versions of themselves. Take gap years if you need to. Take extracurricular courses, do sports, join associations, network properly, build relationships that last a long time. And I think this is my theory, because, for example, in Germany, the medical program in Germany, you have just 6 years block. If you drop out in the 5th year, you're done. You have no degree to show for it. You have to do the 6 years, then you get a degree. Maastricht University, or in the Netherlands in general, they split into bachelors and masters. 3 years bachelors, you get a bachelor's degree in medicine, and 3 years masters, you get a master's degree in medicine, and you're a doctor. My theory is they did that because they want to encourage people to take a gap year in that break between masters and bachelor, which a lot of students actually take. I myself did that as well for half the year, and I think it really helped me prepare better for the masters compared to just going directly. But I think the university also encourages that. They encourage you to try to explore more of who you are as a person, because that's how you distinguish yourself as a doctor in the future. Because if we all study medicine and we all become doctors, what makes you as a person different from the other doctor who's sitting next to you? Ask yourself that question. So I just always try to incorporate things which I get energy from, which I like doing. Examples of traveling, meeting new people, interacting with different cultures, just seeing how people interact in different ways. I think that really helped me as well. Also, just I started like coaching, for example, and that really, because I like talking to people and being able to help them figure out stuff, and being able to do that on the side as well. That's something I really get energy from. Like, I go to the hospital and I get all this patient contact and stuff like that, which I really love. Learning patient stories and everything, it's really something that I get energy from as well. But also coming out and talking to other people who are outside medicine, who don't have like pathologies or other problems which are related to medical issues, just life problems and stuff like that, reminds you of the fact that there is a lot more out of the hospital. And sometimes you can really get stuck in this bubble of the hospital that you forget that life keeps going on, right? And I like the fact that I can come out of the hospital where I'm talking to patients who have all these pathologies and medical problems, and go to talk to other people who have like life issues going on and stuff like that. For me, it's really cool. I get energy from that. And I always try to combine that. I always try to make sure that I'm working on myself as a person, and not just, allowing myself to be confined to the limitations of medicine or being a medical student. And again, I have to re-emphasize, don't get me wrong, medical school is tough. You have to do sacrifices. You have to sometimes study long nights. You have to do, it can get intense sometimes. But I personally believe, and I firmly believe, there is room for you to develop yourself outside of medicine as well, and become a much better person, because that's the best way to differentiate yourself from your other colleagues and stuff like that who are also doctors. So I think there's definitely room for that. You just have to be intentional about wanting to develop yourself like that, and not necessarily just giving in to, okay, my life now is about medical school and that's all I'm going to do, because there are a lot of people who do that and it might work out for them. But just for me, I noticed that's not the kind of person I want to be in general. I want to be a better human being, not just a better doctor. So I guess the first point, just being intentional about how you want to grow and improve yourself, and how you want to develop yourself as a person. And the second thing is, when you do something which is out of the ordinary, because, for example, my classmates in Europe, right? Let me tell you something. My classmates are medical students, right? They belong to the top 5% when it comes to IQ in the country. So I guess some part of me is also belonging to the first 5% of IQ in the country. I don't know how they prove that, but that's what they say. So they're like some of the smartest people in the country and all whatnot, IQ wise and everything. And they travel a lot. They travel a lot. My classmates travel a lot. Today they're in Spain, tomorrow they're in this one, tomorrow they're in this one and that one, that one, that one. My classmates normally travel a lot, or at least the ones I'm exposed to. When they have vacations and stuff, they go with their parents to 10 different countries. I'm like, wow, how do you guys do that? But anyways, mama and papa pay sometimes, so it's doable. But when I started, discovering more about myself and trying to explore my passions and stuff I like doing, I also started traveling a lot. And I started getting comments from my friends who were like, yo, you travel a lot. I'm like, bro, if you were telling me I travel a lot, then there's definitely something I am I'm either doing right or extremely wrong. But because if you hear from someone who travels a lot that you travel a lot, then you're definitely traveling a lot. And I know as well that I traveled a lot. I'm gonna also try to dive into how that's possible. But I traveled a lot, and I guess it's just going to show or point out the fact that you are gonna get comments from people who do not understand what you're doing because you're trying to be true to your own path in life. Because everyone has their path in life, and as long as you're true to yours, that's fine. And once you do that, and your path in life is way outside the norm of what people are used to, people are gonna give you comments and you're gonna get remarks and stuff like that. But the key is in staying true to your path in life, and not necessarily letting people sway you into what they think you should do or what you think people expect you to do and expect from you and stuff like that. Because I got that as well. I got a lot of, you travel a lot, how do you combine these things? And sometimes it's genuine curiosity, it's genuine interest. But other times you could see it's a little bit condescending, as you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, medical students are not supposed to be traveling like that. Who said? Who wrote that law? Show me that person. But I guess it's just being aware of the fact that if you start, being true to your purpose and doing what you're meant to be doing, you're going to get a lot of questions and remarks. And that's okay, as long as you know what you're doing is not wrong and you're staying true to your purpose. Because if for example, if you tell me I shouldn't go to the club the night before and have an exam the next day, who said? I did that because I prepared well. I passed the exam, I aced the exam, and I wasn't feeling sleepy in the exam, for example, and I had a great time at the party. For those of you who were there, But so it's possible. People have never been exposed to it, so I guess it's new for them. And because it's new for them, your brain doesn't know how to react to that information except to question and sometimes to seem condescending to it and sometimes downplay it. But it is possible, and you can always be a trailblazer, and you can always come up with something new. You can always set a new trend and stuff like that. Just be true to who you are, be true to yourself, and let that just flow from your inner passions, inner gifts, inner desires and stuff like that, and you can make anything work in medical school. I really think people should distinguish themselves as doctors personally and not just be another statistic, another cardiologist, another. I think you can develop yourself as a human being much better than we are doing now as a society. Another point, which I guess, the third point, how everything is made possible, because of course I'm not that rich. Whoa, I wish I was, because the way I travel, if you see me travel, you'll probably think I have a lot of money and all whatnot, but I don't. Newsflash, I do not. How this is actually being made possible, it's a combination of factors, I think. Because, for example, I come from Cameroon, and I'm here in the Netherlands now. I have a lot of friends, family in Germany, it's really difficult for me at this stage in life to pick a map and point out countries where I don't know someone from, right? And I'm someone, I always like to leave interactions I have with people on a good footing. So, like, if I'm going to a country, I'm going to Georgia, for example, the country, not the state in America, Georgia. And I know I remember meeting someone there. I just go to my Instagram, hey, there was someone I know from here in Georgia. Who is that? And they replied, I'm like, I'm coming. Can you host me, or can you show me cheap accommodations around? Okay, you show me around so I don't have to like hire a tour guide or something like that. And it mostly works out because I always leave interactions on a good footing and people trust me and people don't necessarily think I have malicious intentions a lot of the time, which I really appreciate and I really value. But because I know a lot of people, my network is quite vast. I know a lot of people in different countries. I have family members in different countries. Like my sister lives in Ireland, lives in the UK, family in Germany, family in France, in Paris, family in South Africa, family in Brazil, like friends all over the place, family all over the place. So when I go to places, most of the time I either have free accommodation, which I love, not even gonna lie, Or I have people who can tell me where to find the cheapest accommodation, people who can show me around. And I think it's just a matter of, okay, I could go pay for a hostel and stuff like that and have my privacy and everything. But that's not necessarily me. When I go to places, I like to go with people or to people. I like to also rekindle relationships that I've not reconnected with in a long time. So if I'm not seeing you in 10 years, I'd rather go hang out with you or go spend time with you rather than just going to stay in a hostel and exploring the city. It's like shooting two birds with one stone. You gotta explore the city. Three birds actually. You get to explore the city with someone who is familiar, get to get free accommodation, and you get to also rekindle relationships that might have been dormant for a long time. So I think this is one of the factors that plays a huge role as to how I can travel that much. I know people in places, they give me free accommodation. So of course, if you've traveled a lot, you know accommodation is one of the biggest things that like takes off. In Europe, you travel like for 30 euros, you can go to Ireland back and forth. For 20 euros, you can go to Paris back and forth. But it's like accommodation is the part where you always pay the most. And if I don't have to pay accommodation, and a lot of the times I don't have to pay for my food as well, because when I go to my African friends or Cameroonian friends, they cook good food because they know I'm coming, and I eat a lot, so they know, ooh, we gotta prepare for he's coming. So that's always great. That means I don't have to pay for accommodation, I don't have to pay for food. The vibes are great. It's just a much better experience, in my opinion, compared to like hiring a tour guide, which you don't know and stuff like that. And for me, it's just more fulfilling to do it that way. So that's, I guess, how how it's possible for me to also travel that much, even though I don't have that much money in this case. But I guess, guys, if I'm thinking about it, this is the factors which kind of like, contribute to how I can combine medical school and traveling, and also reading is just making time for it. Like I picked up my first book, I think it was 2 years ago. Someone gifted me the book, I remember, and I just read it, and I noticed, because I'm someone who, I love self-help, I love relationships, I love interacting with people, I love understanding people, and if I can read a book to learn that better and see how I can improve my communication with people and stuff like that, I'm all in for it. And I noticed, like I said already in this video, I like growing as a human being. I like being a good person, and not necessarily just a good doctor or being good at one thing I do, but as a person, I like to be good. So I like to learn how to communicate with people better and stuff like that. And I think the first goal I had, which pushed me into books, was how do I communicate better with people. And I read I'm going to make a book review about books that help me in relationships as well. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on these cool videos, because some of them are going to be exciting, man. But that got me into reading books. So I read books about communication, relationships, and stuff like that. And that really got me into the flow of books, because it's like, oh, wow, I have this goal, I want to learn how to do this better. And there's just so much knowledge in books, podcasts, audiobooks, and all that stuff. There's just so much knowledge out there. Why don't I get it? Of course, at some point it became tricky with reading and being on the run and going to the hospital and stuff like that. So you have to switch to audiobooks, but it's the same concept. You want to read books, you can listen to them, you can do your, how do you call it? The Kindle or whatever it's called. You can also read paperback. Normally I like reading the paper versions, but with my busy lifestyle, I have to sometimes switch to audio, but I still do the paper ones because I just like those better. So on road trips and stuff like that, I always read them. Now the weather is good, I just sit on my balcony and I'm reading those books as well. So it's really cool, and I think it's just a matter of where your goals, what do you prioritize in life, and if you really have a goal, if you really have a vision to learn something and you want to really get better in something, there's knowledge in books. And if you're really serious about that and intentional about it, you're going to pick up books and you're going to read them. So I guess it's just a matter of asking yourself, what are your priorities? What goals do you have? And how intentional, how driven are you towards achieving that goal? And I feel like once you answer those questions for yourself, yeah, there's nothing stopping you from doing whatever you set your mind to do. So I think, guys, that's in a nutshell how I make this happen. It's just being intentional about what you're doing, being intentional about becoming a better person in general, not necessarily caring about the remarks people make, because they're always going to make remarks. As long as you're staying true to your journey and you're staying true to your path in life, your unique path in life, it shouldn't matter. You're going to be fine. And I guess just the networking part and knowing people in a lot of countries, that also played a big role. So I guess that's in a nutshell how I combine being a medical student and traveling that much predominantly, and also how I get to induce reading into that as well. I hope this video was helpful to anyone who was maybe trying to figure out how to keep some sort of balance, because this idea of balance, keeping a balance, has been a struggle for me for the past 2 years. Past year, I think, 1.5 years, more or less. So if you're struggling with it as well as a medical student, you're not alone. It's difficult to keep a balance. It's basically impossible to achieve a balance. So you just have to constantly keep striving towards something that is close to a balance. But I'm struggling with it as well. You can do it as well. I've figured some part of it out, still in the process of figuring it out. you are still in the process of figuring it out, and it's okay. The process is the best part of the journey. We're all gonna get there someday if there's anywhere to be gotten to, but just enjoy the process, because that's where the magic is. That's where the diamonds are being made. So I guess just enjoy your process, and if you're in a place where you're doubting and trying to figure stuff out, it is possible. Just be true to your process, and just let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. Reach out to me on Instagram if you have any personal questions and stuff like that. I'm always ready to answer. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video was educative, it was helpful to someone. By all means, subscribe, leave a like down there if you like the video, if you actually like the video. But if not, guys, I hope you all have a blessed day wherever you're watching this from, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.